Hello, 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 and welcome back to Choose with the News. I'm your co-host Jack,
And I'm your co-host Eli.
and we got another fantastic episode planned. No guest again. We're gonna blame Eli once again
Once
on that
again,
part.
this week it's
This
my
time it
fault.
was you.
This week it
This
was my fault.
last week was
Um,
too as well.
no, last week was a collective fault.
True. This
Yeah,
is true. This
but
one
this
was Eli's
this
fault.
week's on me. I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna do better. It's a new year. It's a new us. We're gonna be
Yes, in
better.
New Year's, it's happened a
It
day
did happen. Yeah,
ago. I believe a day ago. Yeah,
it
a day
did.
ago.
Mhm.
Um,
Uh,
what's your thoughts? What's your take? How did your 2021 start
I'm
so far?
pro New Year. That's my um. No, I thought.
I
I,
gotta say, I hate to play devil's advocate again,
oh,
but
really?
I'm anti New Year.
Oh wow, you just wanted 2020 was just so great for you. You just wanted
It's
for
no
it
no
to
no
go
no no no.
on.
It's not that I don't like how the number changes. I
Hmm.
don't like how there's this whole stigma about like, oh, it's this great ordeal that we're moving into new. It's just another day.
So another day.
It's
I
another.
feel
It's
the
like,
way.
yeah,
Yeah. Except you get
but
like sparkling grape juice. When I was a kid, I got sparkling grape juice.
you as an adult you still get sparkling grape juice. It doesn't change.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, it's a new year, it's a new us. We have lots of um exciting new things up and coming this year. We also have a lot of
Do we?
personal resolution. We do. We have a
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
we're
We
we're
do.
gonna
We do.
we're gonna bring you a little more high quality episodes in the future.
No, we're not. Continue.
Okay, we're going to maybe bring a little more famous people into the
Hmm.
mix. We have a few
Yes, we
famous
got some
people
big
lined
plans.
up. Um,
Not saying any names, but Robert Downey Jr. will be on an episode next season.
yeah, he is like a friend of a friend of a friend of a stranger. So that's exciting. Um, but no, we have a lot of. I think this year is going to be a great year. I think, like most people, 2020 was one of the worst years for me. Um,
Hmm.
uh, so I'm excited for a new year. Not to say that there weren't any bad things or good things that happened in 2020. I think for me, my favorite memory from 2020 was graduation, even though it was so weird that our graduation was in a parking lot
Parking lot.
at
Yeah.
the top of a high school football stadium. I really liked that I got to have a graduation, even if it was looked like that. So that's my favorite memory from 2020. Um, Also, getting into college was nice. I mean, what happened after that wasn't, but like,
Mm,
you know,
yeah.
what about you?
My uh, um 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 uh uh my favorite memory. I mean, there's a couple memories that stand out. Obviously, getting to school, deciding on where to go. That was very like stress relieving because senior year. That's what they
Yeah,
tell you to. That's your life if you don't do that, which is whatever in society we have. But it was nice to not have to worry about that. And then after that, we started this podcast. That was pretty cool. Bottom half of my top memories, but it's up there. And then after that, graduation happened. That was cool. Which it would have been cooler if people followed rules and stayed inside their cars like they were supposed to. Not calling out any people, but like everybody.
mm-hmm.
No offense. And then after that, what happened? Oh, and then I went to school, and that was pretty cool. So
Oh, very
yeah,
cool.
I was glad that I was able to be on campus. Even though protocol is still going on, still staying safe, but it was nice. Um, Breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, and the vaccine came out. No, that's pretty cool.
that was pretty cool. Um,
Other than that, was there anything else good that happened?
I'm trying to think. Not a lot. I mean, there wasn't a lot of like great. 2020 wasn't a very eventful
You
year
know
for
what
the
I realized?
positive. What?
You know what I realized that I just forgot?
Yeah,
Parasite. Parasite won Best Picture at the beginning of this year.
at the beginning of 2020. You're so
I
right.
know. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Wow. remember how like we thought that Trump shutting down the government for like a month was this huge deal,
Or his impeachment at the
or his
beginning of the year.
impeachment?
Does
Yeah,
anybody remember that at this point?
that's great. No one remembers
I was
anything.
looking. I was looking at I was looking at this article, because I read like a nerd, and it was about, like it showed Google's like search, like most search stuff, like
Hmm.
and the trends that it had. They didn't include like words like coronavirus and election because that was going to be super high like pretty much throughout or for a long period of time. They just did, snippets in time. So there was stuff that was like high for like a good chunk of time, and then after that it was just like everything that happened like during the week. So like impeachment was only like it was a high spike, but it was like a short one,
Right.
and it just shows you like how bad America's attention span is.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
kind of leads into what my resolution what I want my resolution to be is to go along with this attention span. I want to be able to remember at least one thing from each month that I did that I enjoyed, like a positive memory from each month. Whether that be I started a new TV show, or I did this cool thing, or I slept. Just something positive that like I could look back on and remember. Because I was going back, remembering 2020. It's like I remember like some big news stuff, but personally, there's not that much that stood out to me like from the earlier months. Like I don't remember what I was doing in January. I'm gonna be honest, or February.
It's hard, yeah.
We were at school, but I also just don't remember being at school at all this high school at all this year.
Yeah. I think that's a great resolution. Well, I was just realizing like my birthday was like right after coronavirus, and like to me that
Started.
doesn't feel right, was like right after it started, and to me it doesn't feel that way. Like to me, like how my memory goes, like I feel like we celebrated like Passover, and like we missed out on prom and all that happened, and then like my birthday happened, and so I feel
Right.
like everything's just out of order in my brain. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
But no,
get that.
I like that resolution. I think that's a good one. Um, my resolution is I want to have a positive memory at a college campus in the year 2021.
Oh,
Um,
it's so sad.
and that's the big one. Um, other than that, like exercising. That's my other one, which I
Still
feel like is
training for that
basic.
marathon.
Little train for that marathon, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I'm gonna get nice and what do they call it nowadays? Bulk,
Swole.
swole. Thank you.
Swole. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll know all the lingo by the end of this year, obviously.
Yeah.
Because the people at the J, they're just like people obsessed with their physical appearance, right? And just like
Exactly.
working on getting swole 24/7.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
But apart from resolution, is there anything, not, it doesn't have to be specific to you, but that you're just looking for in 2021 in general?
Oh God, yeah. I'm hoping we find Trump in jail. If not, because right, maybe not like federal jail. I don't expect like Biden to like prosecute, but like hopefully like the state of New York decides to like arrest Donald Trump. So that's a big one. Um, I hope to be able to eat inside a restaurant without wearing a mask. That's another one. I don't think that'll happen for a while. I think those are my big two. What about you?
I am excited for. I think the biggest thing that I'm excited for is the music that could come out in this year. I think with everybody being locked up in their houses, it could be a good and bad thing. Bad thing because like you're not getting this much inspiration because you're not going out, but you also have all this time to sit down and really work on your craft. And I hope that's what a bunch of artists are doing right now. And at the end of 2020 and now into 2021, I hope that more and more music will be released that's upper quality as opposed to just being rushed out. I know it's kind of hard because there's not tour dates, so we might have to like wait until people can tour again to where these albums will be released. But I do believe that they're being in the process of being made,
Yeah.
and completed at the current moment, and that I think the music scene will be good with all that's happening. I mean, like you get inspiration without having to go out as well. I think
Hmm.
obviously like artists work different ways, but I do think that hopefully that we will get some good music in the coming years, because I think people are going to be skeptical to like release stuff because it won't be as popular because you can't like go out, go tour, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You won't be able to fully capitalize on your monetary value, which is
Those were some big words all in a row.
yes, but that's what some artists do, or like record labels and stuff are out
Yeah.
there for the money, and that's why we might not get stuff recently, but I'm hoping that
Yeah.
eventually, once vaccines are distributed properly, that we'll be able to hope that continues to grow.
Yeah. Well, that's
Speaking of
yeah. Speaking of,
speaking of the COVID vaccine rollouts, I
yeah.
guess we could kind of transition from looking at New Year's into looking at what we want to delve into this episode. So the American government said they wanted at this point, was it at this point
Yeah,
to
by
just
New Year's.
by New Year's to distribute and transmit 20 million doses of the COVID vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
20 million doses, and that's when it released in mid-December. It seems like could be doable, maybe a little bit of a reach, but if we could get 20 million, that would be awesome. And fair
Mm-hmm.
play to the American government. How many doses did we get to?
About 2.5 million.
Which 2.5 million. It's a good start. I mean,
Not
the people getting doses, like the more people that you get doses, you can't complain about it. Like obviously they wanted to get 20 million. 2 million is not even close to 20 million.
no,
Nowhere close.
no.
But it's good that we do have people with the vaccine.
Yeah. It when you think about how big our country is, right? Like we're trying to get 325 million people vaccinated, right? Like that's the
Right.
goal. And so
If we do
it's
2
a
million
little,
in a month, in a half a month,
it's not,
that's 4 million. That's 4 million a month. 4 million times 12
it's
is
48
what?
million.
So we can do 48 million in a year if we keep this
Right.
trajectory up. There's
Which means,
325 million people, which
yeah,
means, hold on, let's do some math. 325 divided
that'd be about
by
6 years and 9 months. About
6 years and 9 months. Yeah, that's not going to cut it.
no. So, they're definitely, everyone's kind of blaming everyone else. Mitt Romney is like calling out Trump for this. Trump is calling out the states because
Biden called out Trump.
Biden called out Trump, right? The Lindsey Graham said it was like like the states are doing it wrong. The states are blaming it on the individual hospitals that they're giving it to, and on Trump, who is like giving them all these doses, but not enough time. You also see like these things, right? Like the people who are getting the vaccines are also not like being the best about it, mentally speaking, right? Like you see like people cutting in line and like trying to shoot one another in like these hospitals, because not every hospital has a vaccine for every single employee, and so it's leading to these mishaps. And I think we saw in Wisconsin that like a team spoiled vaccines, right? And so I think there's a lot of competitiveness
Right.
among the employees as well.
Which to go back to that, this employee like trashed 500 doses, was it?
Yeah, I think it was like 100, I thought. But yeah, some crazy high number.
No matter how many doses it is, that's horrible.
Yeah. And that
Do
person,
we know why this person did it?
I don't think we do. Hold on, we'll give it a look see actually.
Because in my head, you have to be some sort of sicko.
Right? I mean,
the one thing that like people need right now is the vaccines. So like to just get rid of that, it just seems like
Yeah,
I
you're right.
I don't get it.
You're right. It is about more than 500. That's correct. Good for you. Um,
Thanks. I do my reading. Let's
you
go.
do your reading. He does read articles, guys. I mean,
I do read occasional articles. This is true.
yeah. Uh, yeah. The people who arrested her said that they don't know why, but that like this person intentionally spoiled about 500 vaccinations. Um, or at the very least, the police declined to comment on the motive. So, I guess we don't know why it's happening, but we also, we see these horrible things happening. And so when you're trying to get 325 million people vaccinated, right, no one's doing their part and everyone's just blaming on each other, right? Like the federal
Right.
government isn't doing everything that it can to ship the vaccines out as quickly and as effectively as possible. The states aren't doing a good job at effectively distributing it across all the hospitals and medical centers that need it. And then the employees working there aren't doing a great job of understanding that this is a group effort, right? Something that a lot of them were doing a really good job of throughout the pandemic. They were, healthcare workers were coming together to understand that this is not, an individual activity. This is a
Right.
team effort.
So, message to all the politicians: stop blaming each other. Stop blaming one another, and actually get to work. Because let's be real, publicity is publicity. Whether it's negative or positive, whether you're bashing on somebody, whether you're, doing something good, like you're gonna get attention for this, and to, deflect the blame onto somebody else. Yes, that could work, but you know what's gonna be more effective is showing people that you're actually doing the work and that you're the one who's making this happen, as opposed to blaming it not happening on other people. You can make it happen.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, we've been talking about the coronavirus forever, and it's not like we expected to be done talking about this, but I think like both, I mean, at least for me, I expected there to just not be a new week of negative vaccine related or, coronavirus related news every single week. Like I expected us to be over the hump by now, to be making progress, and it just seems like we haven't even reached the climax at the hump yet, right? Like I think like California just hit a new record amount of deaths and infections that they haven't seen since like July, right? And St. Louis, and here in St. Louis, we hit a peak, right? Like think about
I
how
think like
quarantined we
Virginia
were
hit the
in
most
July,
cases.
right?
I think in Virginia hit most cases it's ever had in a day not too long ago.
I mean, and just right, think about, especially for those of you who are in St. Louis or wherever you are, think about where the virus was at in July, like how far spread it was, right? Most places, especially in the United States, now it's almost double that. And I know it doesn't feel like that necessarily, but it's just not stopping. Um, and so it's just crazy to wrap our heads around the incompetence that's occurring at this level.
Yeah.
Speaking of incompetence,
Oh yes, that's a good transition.
top level segue. Um, there's been some recent news starring one of our brilliant senators, and by brilliant,
Missouri is brilliant, Sally.
one of Missouri's brilliant, and by brilliant, I mean
We mean
incompetent.
yes.
Josh Hawley.
Which
And
I'm gonna, before we get into this, I just want to paint. If you don't know who Josh Hawley is, you can obviously look him up. You'll see a picture of his face, and if you don't want to look him up, that's fine, because I wouldn't want to look him up either. But in the words of one of our friends, this paints the best description of what his face should look like. In the words of one of our friends, William Thaddeus Staffenbeck, he looks like he belongs on the cover of Punchable Face magazine.
I love that. I mean, we love Will at Jews with the News. We're big Will DeBeast fans. Will the Thrill.
We're Will stands.
Yeah, we're Will stands. And yeah, it to maybe paint more of a picture, he was the youngest senator elected into the Senate. He's a Republican.
How old is he now?
He's like 30, 39 or 41, something like that. Might be a little older.
He is 41. His birthday was December 31st. Happy birthday, Josh Hawley.
Happy birthday, Josh Hawley. So he's a bit of an idiot. He is one of the people most likely to run either in 2024 or 2028 for president. He's also, a potential vice presidential candidate, and he is an idiot. And he's the future of this party, of the Republican Party. And there's
Yes.
been some pretty big news involving Josh Hawley, which we haven't really seen huge news involving Josh Hawley, um, you know, in the past like 3 years. So what happened, Jack?
So basically, on January 6th, the Senate, is it the Senate or all of Congress?
I think it's just the Senate, although it might be all of, I think it's all of Congress.
We'll go with all of Congress.
Yeah.
We'll go with Congress is meeting on January 6th to certify the election results, which I don't really understand why they need to do that in the first place with after the electoral college already like certified it and like the electors voted and Biden won and it's official. I don't know why the Congress needs to certify it. That doesn't make sense to me. If somebody wants to explain that to me, they can, but I just don't get it. But apparently there's supposed to be a vote and they're supposed to certify the election. And Josh Hawley has said that at this hearing, he is going to object the election results on behalf of the people who saw fraud committed or something like that. Just on behalf of the people who say that fraud has happened. And there have been a decent amount, I say a decent amount, but too many, like a good amount, a few House representatives who said that they are already going to object to the election results. And Josh Hawley just became the first senator to say that he is going to do that. I don't think he's going to be the last. I think he's going to be the only one to announce it. And then after the Georgia runoffs at January 6th, people will do it then because, that's important and they need support there. So they're going to wait until after, especially Loeffler. Like, I think she's going to be another people to object the results, but she won't say it because she needs votes right now. Yeah. So until that's over, she won't be able to do that. And it's just stupid. It's just dumb. His move is stupid. Dumb. It doesn't make sense because these frauds have been heard by numerous judges on numerous court cases, and nothing's been found. They haven't won a single one. The Supreme Court shut it down. Like, I don't understand why he thinks that their word needs to get out because it's gotten out plenty, but clearly it's just fictitious.
Yeah, and just to be clear, or to reiterate, right, this is not something we should necessarily be worried about. Like this doesn't actually have that big of an impact on whether or not Joe Biden will be president, because right. Like you said, the electoral college has already been voted on. The judges have already, voted to side with Joe Biden's team, at least Joe Biden's campaign, right? And this is pretty symbolic. It'd take a lot of senators in order for it to cause real harm, and even then it wouldn't mean Trump wins. It just means we'd have to like recount all the votes.
I don't think it would mean we'd have to recount. I think what they're arguing for is that there would be like a full-scale investigation on these fraud claims.
Yeah, but it is interesting because Mitch McConnell said that like we wouldn't be doing this, right? Like that they wouldn't be objecting to it, and so we kind of saw like that the Republican Party was like trying to like distance itself from Trump.
Some members, including McConnell,
right? Kind of the Republican establishment, right? So Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, right? And they were distancing them. They were starting to distance themselves after he lost. And so Josh Hawley is kind of this gesture is kind of a symbolic way of putting all of his eggs into the Trump basket, saying like, I think Trump is the future of our party, right? Kind of what McConnell and the establishment are saying are, that was a nice 4 years, but that's not where the party is going. That's not how we think we can win elections. And Josh Hawley is really saying no, like, I want to support Trump because that is the best way for me to become president. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think if Trump continues to be popular over the next 4 years, so will Josh Hawley.
Right.
I think if Trump gets arrested, right, and ends up in prison, and we don't hear from him for like 4 years in a row, right?
Then it's
I'm not.
good.
I'm not
But
sure.
I think Josh Hawley put himself in that position to be the front runner to, even if Trump goes off the rails, goes to jail, is not heard from, whatever, becomes not popular, something happens for whatever reason, Josh Hawley puts himself in that position to just be the next Trump and take over that base. So I think this move is, from a political standpoint, if we're looking at this from a strategic standpoint, this is brilliant from Josh Hawley.
Yeah.
Because I think at this point, the majority of the Republican base is more pro-Trump than anti-Trump.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean,
so I think he's certifying that he has the biggest base in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Which is, important if you want to run for president. So in his terms, that's a great move. It sucks because it's horrible, and he sucks and he's horrible. But that's an opinion. Like that.
Yeah. He does suck and he is horrible, and that is opinion. But it also like isn't, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those opinions that's an opinion.
Right.
But like,
it's an opinion, but it's almost fact.
Yeah, it's almost fact. We can just call things almost fact nowadays. I feel like
exactly.
That's fine.
We're that highest standpoint in our popularity that no matter what we say, people just agree with.
I feel like that's true. I mean, like, we got a record 6 viewers last week. I feel like that. Feel like we're going in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, to end this episode off, Eli actually has a surprise announcement.
Yes.
If you're on Spotify, we appreciate you listening on Spotify. However, you won't see the full glory of this announcement.
I know. So it's kind of like when I showed off my cool elbow tricks, my cool shoulder tricks.
Yeah, your cool shoulder tricks, and this one's hard to describe.
This one's hard, so I'm just gonna.
It's harder to describe. So sorry about that, but you take it away.
And the people gasp, because guess what? Should I tell the Spotify listeners what they're seeing?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
You are seeing Eli with a haircut. That's kind of crazy, because the last haircut I got was February of 2020. So it's been 11 months, almost 11 months since I got a haircut. I got a haircut now. And so throughout the entire time we were filming Jews with the News, I hadn't cut my hair. That's actually why I wore this hat in the beginning, was because, we would film kind of right after I woke up. I would have bedhead, and I thought, like, hey, it's just easier to put this hat on. And typically, like, if you see me out and about on the streets and you're like, hey, Eli, I'm such a big fan of Jews with the News, you probably won't see me with a hat on. But I wore a hat. It went onto our logo thanks to DJ Dan X, and shout out to Daniel Zhang. And so I've been wearing this hat ever since during recordings. I still have a bit of bedhead. We kind of it's pretty early in the morning right now.
It's pretty early at 11:15.
You're right. But yeah, that's a nice little treat for what do we call our fans, Jack? Do we have a name for them? Are they just called Jews?
They're called the Jews. Yes, they are called the Jews.
Okay.
But will you be wearing a hat in future episodes? Are you going to continue the trend of wearing a hat every
I think
episode,
so. I think
or
as long as it's on our logo, it'll be on my head.
okay?
Um, I feel like I also don't think I look bad in hats. Comment what you think. I think on the side it's a little weird, like it's a little long if you look at it from the side. But I think straight on it's pretty good. I don't know. What do you think?
Actually, I think you look beautiful.
Wow, what great chemistry we have.
On that note, this concludes our episode of Jews with the News. Thank you for joining us. And this one's actually going up on Saturday, so
On
it's a day
Saturday.
early. So
Yeah,
cool.
that was pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
And hopefully we'll have a guest on next
Next
week.
episode.
Next episode.
Next week, we promise. Do we promise this time?
We
You
can
guys have
promise.
heard enough of just us talking. We need some other viewpoints.
We do. And you'll have them next week. That's it. That's a Jews with the News guarantee.
Jews with the News guarantee.
All right. Have a good week.